Nancy Pelosi is struggling to keep control of Democrats in the House, but more radical elements in her party say impeachment is the only option. Who will win this battle? Luis Miranda is a former DNC Communications Director, and he joins us tonight. Luis, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
Should the president be impeached?
I think that the House should definitely move forward on impeachment proceedings because the Mueller report showed very clearly that he had done exactly the kind of obstruction of justice that you saw laid out in the articles of impeachment for Richard Nixon. And now, as we see what he's doing to keep Congress from carrying out its investigation, forcing even private citizens who no longer work for the government to not be able to come in and testify, it just shows exactly what it said on Article 3 of the articles of impeachment against Richard Nixon.
Okay. So, why isn't the Speaker of the House, the much venerated Nancy Pelosi, why isn't she, if it's so obvious, why isn't she behind this?
I think she's working with her caucus to bring them together and work not just on things like what you need to do on impeachment, which I think some of the investigations are going to help with that, especially, as I just said, the investigations that are now calling on subpoenas of former administration officials, and Donald Trump is stepping in and not letting them. That's an example of an impeachable offense. And so I think that she's trying to bring everyone on the same page and move it forward in a constructive way. But I do think that Democrats... But Tucker, I think Democrats here made a mistake.
She's not for impeachment. She said that. Okay, you think they made a mistake. I'm just
think they made a mistake.
Pelosi, whatever you think of her, she's a very sophisticated person who's been in Washington for, an awfully long time.
Incredible operator, and she's doing a terrific job with her caucus. However, I think the Democrats made a mistake in
she doesn't want impeachment. Okay, but she slow-walked it because she knows it will hurt the Democratic Party. You disagree with that?
I do disagree. I think that, they're comparing this to the impeachment, what happened in the 90s with Bill Clinton. But at that time, you had Republicans investigating Socks the Cat, Tucker. You remember this. Socks the Cat was being investigated over the kinds of letters he was getting from children around the country, Tucker. That's why the American people rejected impeachment.
I
think at this point, as you start to see what's actually coming out, the Deutsche Bank situation, where a court ruled just yesterday that, in fact, the Congress does have oversight, does have the right to investigate. I think all of these things will continue to show that the pattern of obstruction of justice, of behavior that is just not consistent with the oath that the president took, is important. Because at the end of the day, Tucker, the Republican Party is a party of the rule of law. And if we skirt it, if we flout it, if we treat it like it doesn't matter, we might as well be a third world country at this point, Tucker.
But I don't think
that's just not what we should be.
Then we'll have like sanctuary cities where people like ignore federal immigration law. That would be crazy.
If you believe in the rule of law, then we should definitely protect our democracy. Absolutely.
Okay, right. Well, I've heard that for 3 years from people who have zero interest in democracy at all, who spent the whole time, the last 2 years, trying to undo an election result because they hate democracy so much. So look, there are a lot of things you say about Trump, but don't cast opposition to Trump as a defense of democracy. It's not, actually. Trump is what you get in
2018. I think the Democrats won the House of Representatives in part because this country recognizes that sometimes divided government is better. You have a government that keeps checks and balances together.
If you're not going to have that, but
if you're going to have control of the House of Representatives and not actually conduct and carry out your constitutional duty of oversight and holding President Trump accountable, when you see example of him disrespecting what Congress was intended to do,
we just had 2.5 years of Russia investigation.
Undermine our democracy. And the Mueller report shows that there was
good luck with that. Look,
I'm
not... Right, all right. I'm not going to get mad about it. I do think you're going to doom whoever the candidate is to a loss if you impeach, but you obviously disagree. And
I remember 2010 when so many Democrats shied away from defending the Affordable Care Act because they were afraid that Democrats would criticize them on it. Well, Republicans would criticize them on it. Republicans are going to criticize you over impeachment whether you do it or not. You might as well live up to what the forefathers put in the Constitution for you to do in Congress, which is to have oversight over the executive branch.
Luis, good luck with that. Great to see you tonight.
Thanks, Tucker. Good to see you, too.